Hey, Jose, tell me that story about the trailer hitch.
What trailer hitch?
The one at that store.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so it was like we had $22, and that's all we had. Now I had my truck and trailer loaded with scrap metal, and I had to take that to Fort Myers to sell at the scrapyard. And because we had to pay like the rent that day or something. So that next day I needed the money. What had happened is that the trailer hitch had broke. And again, we didn't have any money. We had like $22. So I go to a store like late at night that has trailer hitches. And what I was going to do is there was 2 trailer hitches. Now keep in mind, like, I would never be in, let's just pause for a minute. I would never be in this situation right now in my life. We were young, we were in difficult economical straits. We were just in a bad economical situation. And when you don't have money, you end up in these situations. Because what happens is, I would never put myself in this situation now, where I could go to jail over $22. Okay? This would never happen to me right now. Right now, where I stand today, I would never go to jail for $22. But we were in a really tight spot. It was like, if we don't pay the rent, where we're going to live? So I needed a trailer hitch, but the problem was that I only needed the ball. Now, the ball was there's 2 products. So there's the trailer hitch and then there's the ball. I just needed the ball. But to buy the ball was put inside of the hitch. So now you had to buy this whole attachment that was like $38. Okay? It was $38, the whole thing. I didn't have $38. I just had $22. And that's exactly how much the ball was, which is the only thing that I needed. So Walmart sells you that same exact ball for less money than what I had. I walk into the store at night. Now, the daytime manager would have done it, no problem. But the nighttime manager was this Cuban guy. And I'm Cuban, but I'll tell you, when you give a guy that barely speaks English a title like manager, they just seem to think a little bit much of themselves. And this guy was really a jerk, man. I go up to the store at night. It was like 2 in the morning. So just go figure. I stayed up till 2 in the morning with jacks and all that, trying to fix this trailer hitch. I got the truck attached to a trailer, but the whole thing, it was a nightmare. And the only way I could really fix it is to switch up the trailer hitch. So I just needed this ball. And I had to have the money by noon, which means I had to leave at 6 in the morning. I didn't have any option. I was like, it was 2 in the morning. I hadn't slept much. And it was raining that day. So I was outside in the rain, messing with trying to get this trailer hitch right so I could take the scrap metal to the scrapyard. Dude, like, you are left with no options. You're left with absolutely no options. You're in a situation where it's a $10 thing difference, right? But you don't have $10. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where the problem is so small and insignificant, but you don't have an option. You know what I mean? And that's where I was. It was like I had no other option. And it wasn't like I wasn't trying. It was raining. It was like 2 a.m. What other option did I have? I go up to the manager and I say, hey man, look. I grab my phone. I was like, on your website, you sell this trailer ball. Same exact trailer ball. You sell it for this price. I don't need the hitch. You sell both items independently. I just need the trailer ball. This guy was not having it. I grab the trailer hitch, and he's like, are you going to buy it or not? I'm like, I was going to take the trailer hitch to the front of the store because I didn't like his answer. I was going to take the trailer hitch to the front of the store, to the manager in the front, to see if they told me something different because he was being a complete jerk. And I switched over to talking to him in Spanish. And I don't remember exactly what I told him, but he could have assumed. Now, in Spanish, the vocabulary is different than English, but perhaps he could have assumed that I suggested perhaps sticking this trailer hitch. I don't know what he assumed, but perhaps he took it as a threat that I've considered grabbing this trailer hitch. And but I talked to him in Spanish. I was like, dude, mira, por favor, necesito esto. Like, I was like, but the guy went into jerk mode, you know? And he was one of those, I don't speak English people. I don't speak Spanish. His English wasn't even understandable. That's how bad his English was. But he's one of those. But when I switched over to Spanish, I mumbled too. I didn't say it directly. I was like, man, the woman of the day. What did you threaten me? Ah! Calls the cops. Like, oh my gosh, this is the last thing that I need right now. So I walk up to the register. I walk up to the lady. I say, hey, ma'am, same story. You have this trailer hitch on your website independently. It's the same VIN number and it's the same item, but I just need it separate. Do you have a manager that can look at it? She says, well, it's only the guy in the back. And we're like, well, he's not really being helpful. It was an elderly lady. I was very kind to her. I said, well, I'm just going to leave it here in the front desk, and I want you to have a beautiful night. And I just walked away nicely. I knew he was on the phone. Get in my truck. Right in front of the store. 3 police cars. They didn't even pull me into they didn't even let me get off the road. They stopped me right on US 41. It was late at night. There wasn't too much traffic.
Slow down out there.
They're doing donuts in the parking lot. So they didn't even, what was crazy about this is, they didn't even let me pull into, I was going to pull off the US 41, and they boxed me in. They weren't even going to let me. So this guy said that I used this hitch, which, by the way, anything can be a DW. He said that I used his trailer hitch as a DW. I mean, that in Florida is a serious charge. You're talking, you're done. And I didn't do it that way. I talked to him in Spanish, not English. And he said he didn't know Spanish. So, in theory, he couldn't have understood what I said to him. And I didn't motion with this thing. When I had it in my hand, I was just showing it to him because I didn't grab it and go like this, right? I grabbed it and I just showed it to him and I was like, perhaps this could fit somewhere. It wasn't like my body language was aggressive. So I'm getting boxed in on US 41 And he's already inside the store showing them the footage of me in the store saying that I was using this trailer hitch as a DW, and it very well could be considered that in Florida. So he lied. He blew it out of proportion. And this happens a lot with law enforcement. I listen to police radio on my phone sometimes, and when I listen to police radio, a lot of police reports are exaggerated, you know. A lot of times they exaggerate police reports. Other police reports that are just very inaccurate. So that's what he was doing. He was trying to make me get in trouble. So this guy at Walmart was trying to get me put away for 10 years is what Florida would have done. I mean, they don't play with that. They boxed me in. They didn't let me even get off US 41. They just boxed me in. Cop comes out. When the cop opens my door, he goes, "Jose! Chico, man, what are you doing, bro?" I'm like, now this cop had, we and him were hanging out because I was at a fishing spot or something. And he watches my YouTube channel. And me and him had been fishing together, like he was patrolling or something, and I was fishing. We were, like, every cop in Naples knew who I was. Like, generally, most cops there knew me very well. And this cop knew me very well. He knew me by name when he opened the door. He goes, "Jose, Chico, man, what are you doing telling this guy to, you know, the trailer hitch, you know, what happened, man? Why would you tell this guy to put the trailer hitch, you know? Did you threaten the guy, Jose?" And I knew the answer was no. You know, I'm an honest person, and I don't really like to lie. But sometimes you're in a situation where there's only one answer, and the answer was no. I said, "No, bro." He said, "What did you tell the guy, Jose?" And I said, "Bro, you're Cuban, right?" He's like, "Yeah, man, you know I'm Cuban, man." I said, "Bro, you know when we speak Spanish," he's on the radio, "The guy talks Spanish." He called the guy inside the store, and the guy inside the store says, and now he doesn't even, he's Cuban, he barely, "No, I only speak English, I don't speak Spanish," because he doesn't even know how to speak English right. So he's telling the cop inside the store, they got the guy on the phone, and they're like, "Did this guy talk to you in Spanish?" And the guy, and the manager, he goes, "No, I don't speak Spanish, I only speak English, I only speak in English." And they said, "Jose, I spoke to him in Spanish. So how could he understand what I said to him?" And the cop goes, "You got a good point." Now, keep in mind, the cop already knew me, and we're fishing buddies, and this and that. Okay, we already know each other and all that. But the right answer, this guy refused to admit that he spoke Spanish to me. He didn't want to speak Spanish to me. He, "No, you're not speaking English. I speak English." You better, come on, bro. One of those type of come basuras. Well, he didn't. When the cop asked him, he said, "What did you tell this guy?" Because we're looking at the footage. They were already inside the store looking at the footage, man. And they had pulled me over, and they were already looking at the footage. "What did you tell this guy?" And I said, because, you know, they couldn't hear the audio. They could only see the video. And it's just me going like this with the trailer hitch. That's not very, that's not exactly a threat. I told him, I said, "You know how the Spanish language works, right?" He's like, "Jose, you know this is threatening somebody with a DUI. This is serious, Jose." And I was like, "Do you want to be in court?" Now, in Spanish, in Cuban, we have one word that can be a person, place, thing. It can be anything. A shoe. Te voy a meter esta Cuban word por la cabeza. It's a word that has many different, it's a vulgar word that has many different applications. And I told the cop, "Do you want to go in front of a judge?" This is what I told the cop. I said, "Do you want to go in front of a Collier County judge and explain to him and explain to this judge in the context in which this word could be used?" Because that word, I used it twice in the sentence with two totally different applications, and it's a word that's it's a versatile word. It can be anything. It can be a person, place, or thing. And I said, do you really want to go to court and explain to a judge how this Cuban word can be used in different contexts, and in what context I was telling the guy that he could shove a trailer hitch? Do you really want to go in front of a Collier County judge and explain to the judge in what context I could have been telling the guy to shove this trailer hitch? And he looked at me, he's like, he thought about it. He's like, I don't want to do this. He says, Jose, I don't ever want to see you come back to this Walmart as long as you ever live. And ever since on my channel, I have had, if you've heard me say a Walmart employee is a phrase that I use on my channel. Not that if you're a Walmart employee, I have something against you, but it's just a very, because of this situation, if you ever heard me talk down, I have a lot of respect for McDonald's employees. Look, it's a job nobody wants to do. Like, most people treat McDonald's employees like garbage. I know people that I love that have had to wear that hat, right, Katie?
Unfortunately.
So I don't, and Katie would come back and tell me stories about how she would be treated by customers who thought that simply because her job was a McDonald's employee that they could treat her like garbage. So it's not that I treat McDonald's or Walmart workers as garbage, but because of that incident, I have always used a manager at Walmart as a prototype for somebody who gets a little bit of power and thinks that the world is theirs. So it's not that I have a problem with Walmart employees in general, but this guy literally almost had me put away for 10 years because, believe me, telling somebody in Florida, threatening somebody with a DUI in Florida is and it would be, I mean, a trailer hitch with that is heavy enough to be a DUI in Florida. It could be, if this guy could have proved that I was threatening him with this trailer hitch inside of a store, I would have got 10 years for that, hands down. Hands down, they would have given me 10 years for this. And I use this when I say, when somebody asks me, how much do you make? And I say more than I was really happy to be able to say, how much do you make? I don't want to tell people I make $1,200 a month or I make $2,000 or $5,000 a month. But when people used to ask me when my YouTube channel was smaller, how much do you make? And I would say more than a manager at Walmart, that means it's irrelevant. You know, because the manager at Walmart knows how much he's paying everybody else, but above him, nobody knows what he's getting paid. So the analogy of saying more than a supervisor at Walmart has been a quote on my channel that I've used throughout my videos because of that circumstance where this guy, and he, you know, he's there to help the customer, and he used his power to blow up this thing out of proportion because really, I didn't threaten him. The thing was that he said he didn't speak Spanish, so since he said he didn't speak Spanish, I said something very offensive to him in Spanish that I knew he understood, and that's why he then escalated it to saying that I threatened him. I didn't really threaten him. I told him to shove it. Or that I would assist him in shoving it. If he needed help shoving it, I could assist him. Something along those lines. Again, we're not going to discuss the vocabulary. But, you know, if you need help shoving this trailer hitch, I would be glad. Something else. I mean, who knows the exact vocabulary? I said something in Spanish. But he acted like he didn't know Spanish to offend me, you know? Because that me talking to him in Spanish was like a call for person. Like, be a human, man. Like, don't, you know, like reminding him that he ain't crap. Reminding him he's a Cuban like me, too, you know? But he forgot that he was a Cuban. At the end of the day, the cop that pulled me over was my fishing buddy and didn't want to explain to a judge, which would have came down to if they had press charges, would have gone to court. The cop would have had to, who's also Cuban, the arresting cop, would have had to explain to the judge in what context, because I would have hired a lawyer, and a lawyer would have done the same thing, which was in what context do you explain this vulgarity in Spanish as to was I threatening him with this trailer hitch or was I telling him to shove it? You know? But at the end of the day, I didn't get my trailer hitch. I almost got arrested. And this cop pretty much took 10 years, gave me 10 years of freedom, because at this point, who knows how that would have worked out. I mean, and the way the court system works down there in Collier County, Naples, is when you go to court, it doesn't matter. I don't know if you guys know this about the legal system. When you go to court, it doesn't matter what happened. You hear me? What happened doesn't matter in Naples. The specifics of the case do not matter. What matters when you go to court in Naples is who are you and who are they. You're a manager at Walmart. This guy's buying a trailer hitch at 2 in the morning. He's guilty. That's how Collier County works. I just hired a lawyer to defend me on the cop that pulled me over with the sound system and the wheels and all that. And the lawyer that I hired didn't do anything. He just said, Jose, they looked at, oh, Jose, guilty. That's how the legal system works down there. The specifics of your case are irrelevant. Who are you? Jose Rodriguez, guilty. Tyrone Bingham's guilty. A white guy in a Porsche, let him walk. That's how it works down there. And I'm not exaggerating. That's how it works. Who are you? A white guy in a Porsche? Who are you? An old guy in a beat-up truck picking up scrap metal? Guilty. That's how that works. And don't tell me it doesn't, because that's exactly what my lawyer told me. When the cop that pulled me over, the only explanation they had, and it was there was a camera on the light. Same thing. Katie went to court one time. It doesn't matter. When you go to court in Collier County, it doesn't matter what happened. Who are you? A guy picking up scrap metal, guilty. An old guy in a Porsche, innocent. That's how Naples works. Aggravating to talk about this. But at the end of the day, when you are poor and you're in those type of situations, you have it to lose no matter what. And what a lot of people don't understand is that situation there would have ruined my life. There was another case out of Naples, very similar. And I'll wrap this up after that. During the riots in downtown Naples, they were blocking US 41 and Davis. There was like hundreds of people on the road, and they kind of flash mobbed that intersection with protesting. And there was a guy that was in a car. He was Mexican-American. And the cop said that the guy that was in the van tried to do the same thing. In this case, the vehicle was the DW. The police officer said that the person in the car used the car as a DW. But in reality, there was a girl filming the whole thing from a different angle. So they arrested this guy. He was Mexican-American. And the charge that they gave him was on an officer with a DW. That is 15 to 20 years. No criminal record, no nothing. They were going to give this little Mexican kid 15 to 20 years for that. Turns out that there was this little girl that was recording the protest to upload it to Instagram or something, or YouTube or Facebook. And while she was recording it, she captured the whole incident. And it turns out that girl brought that to a judge in Collier and said, hey, dude, this guy didn't do this. He was just right. He wasn't even part of the event. He was just happened to be there at the wrong time. And they showed this to the judge, and they dropped the charges, and they let the guy go, man. But my question is, the officer that exaggerated that claim against that guy, whatever happened to that guy? Nothing. Now, here's the thing that people do not understand. Now, I live in Lakewood Ranch. I'm driving around in a new car. I'm in Lakewood Ranch. If I have an incident now with somebody, and they're driving in an 88 Caprice, and its primer is the main color, and they rear end me, we have a problem, and the cops show up, Now I have a Lakewood Ranch address. So now when the police, oh, this guy lives in Lakewood Ranch. Oh, this guy lives in this community. Oh, that's a fancy community. Those rich people in there. Now, just your driver's license. From the time you give a police officer your driver's license, if you live on Martin Luther King Drive, oh, you're a criminal. Oh crap, you live in the suburbs. Oh, this guy lives in the suburbs. So now, from the time you show a police officer your driver's license, oh, you live on Martin Luther King Drive. Oof. And you're driving an 88 Caprice. Guilty. Before you go to court. Oh, you're driving in a Mercedes-Benz and you live out in the suburbs. That's a little different. What you have to understand about the legal system of this country is the legal system of this country isn't about what happened. It's about who is who. Or in the case of my situation, who you know. But who you know isn't going to save you all the time. But please believe that the way the court systems are rigged up, especially here in Florida, if you don't have a good address, a good name, a good record, a nice new car, wearing a suit when they take that photo of you getting arrested, and when you get that photo of you arrested, you have a teardrop right here or a tattoo on your forehead, you're done. The moment they take the shot of your face and you got a tattoo here on your neck, you're done. So now you have to look at yourself like this. If a guy in a Porsche, an old guy in his 70s, had walked into that store and told the manager to shove a trailer hitch, that guy would have never even called the cops because it's an old rich white guy. But if he had called the cops, you think the cops are going to pull over an old rich white guy in a Porsche? I said old, like in a convertible Porsche, and they're going to pull him over in 41 and ask him if he told the guy that, and verify if he was telling him if he was going to get hit with it or shoved up. Come on, man. But you have to understand, when you get a traffic ticket, people don't understand how the criminal system works, even for a traffic ticket. When you get a traffic ticket, she ran a red light. Allegedly, she ran a red light because she never admitted to it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, she ran a red light. And she hit, what was it, a commissioner or something? Or somebody in the HOA or something?
I don't know.
You said the lady knew the cop, a volunteer police officer. Right? Something like that.
Everybody knew each other.
They all knew each other. So, allegedly, Katie blew a red light. Now, I believe Katie blew the red light. Okay? I really honestly believe Katie blew this red light. She swears that the person cut her off. Imagine, what is it, Vanderbilt and Airport, the intersection just south of that, it's the most tragic intersection in Naples. Hundreds of accidents happen at this intersection. This is the most infamous intersection in Naples for accidents. On Vanderbilt and Airport, just south of there. If you know what I'm talking about, pulling out of the CVS right there in front of the entrance to the shopping center on the other side. Infamous intersection. The most accidents in Naples happen at the intersection. It doesn't matter what happened at that intersection. If Katie blew the red light or the other person blew the red light, when the other person shows up, okay, the other person shows up, they knew the cop because they were a volunteer cop or something.
The witness was the guy's employee.
The witness was the guy's employee. Go figure. What chance do you have of winning that? What chance? We were so stupid that we took it to court and asked the court to play the video. You know what to play? They didn't play the video. They gave us a $500 fine. We took it to court and said, play the video of the intersection. What? They didn't play the video of the intersection. What they played? The witness statement. The witness related to their work. And that's how it works. So you got to wisen up to understand how this whole legal system works, because a lot of poor people like Katie and me get caught up with the court system out of our ignorance and not knowing how it works. Learn how this legal system works, because it doesn't matter what happened. It matters who you are, how you're presented, who you're going against. That's already predetermined.
And then that traffic school that I went to got my license suspended.
Right. because you went to a crappy traffic school.
Yeah.
And then you would have got pulled over and got arrested. And it could have led, see, that little thing could have led to another thing that would have been more serious. All over somebody else blowing an intersection. So you have to figure out how the legal system works, how it's looking at you. As a poor person, you have it to lose 90% before the events are set out. Before you say this happened or that happened, it's not what happened, it's who happened. And you have to learn that. So now, if you're that person in the Porsche, in the gated community, who's the employee to the police officer taking the report, you're never going to understand or experience the struggle of somebody on the other side of that. See, somebody who comes from the struggle and gets out of the struggle, they can understand the struggle. But if vice versa, somebody who's never been through the struggle, you're the old guy in the Porsche, you blow a red light, hit somebody, the cop shows up, he's your friend. Like in the case of me with the other guy, perhaps let's go back to my story. In my story, I got out of that situation because I knew the cop, he's my fishing buddy. So now this guy at the Walmart was like, he might feel like that was an injustice. Maybe he felt that I needed to go away for 10 years. But the moral of the story is that not so much what happened, but who it happened to. And learn that. Learn that when you get into the moment you forget about criminal, because not everybody is criminal, and I don't want to teach people to be criminals. I want to teach people to be better people. But in order to be a better person in society, you have to be better informed. To be better informed, you have to understand even from a civil thing like a car accident, it's a completely civilian situation, can, like Katie said, turn into a criminal situation because you don't understand the law. You don't understand where you fall in the greater scheme of things. Know who you are, know where you belong in that, because like in my situation, I got away with it. In the case of the lady that blew the red light, allegedly, because I still think Katie was the one who blew the red light, never got to see the video.
I didn't know.
Sure. We'll leave it at that. Katie to this day alleges that she never blew the red light. Now, I saw the other lady. She looked pretty dumb, but I still think Katie was the one who blew the red light. Regardless, it doesn't matter. We ended up paying $500.
That we didn't have at the time.
But believe me, we did not have $500 at that time. We ended up paying $500 in a time of our life when we were not really in a situation to be doing that because of that situation. Because now, like, that cop that pulled me over, and I really wasn't, I don't think I was driving. I'll admit my guilt when I am. But honestly, like this cop, the last time I got pulled over in Naples, he saw the truck with the big wheels and sound system, and he was going to pull me over for aggressive driving, and I was going to get the ticket no matter what. There was no getting out of that. Like, I understand that situation. It is what it is. But there it is, guys. That's how the legal system works. Unfortunately, sometimes it's just who you are already determines what's going to happen in these situations, not what happened. And that's really sad. Sometimes you're on the winning end of it, sometimes you're on the losing end. But regardless, that is a story of me telling a Walmart employee in Spanish that perhaps a trailer hitch in 1/10 of the vocabulary could have perhaps been used as a suppository.